What about the non-tiers top picks should I play? Oh, you mean like the God tier champions? Well, we're about to talk about that next. I'm glad you
Wow.
stopped by. And what do you think about Nautilus? Nautilus is just trash. Okay, guys, so you may have just watched the tiers list video or you're familiar with that, but this is the other spectrum. This is the God tier list. These are the champions that are the complete opposite of the tiers list. These are the best of the best. These are the champions that right now within the metagame of League of Legends, and of course my opinion, what I think are the best for each position. And these are the champions that you love to have on your team. You love to play, but when you play against it, it's very difficult. It feels like the game is decided by minute factors. It's not so much outplaying them. It's more about the champion than the player, yada, yada, yada. And of course, this is, like I said, just my recommendation and opinions. And joining me again today is Tylair. Tyler, my friend, my co-commentator. Do you have any thoughts starting off with the God tier list, Tyler?
I have no thoughts. Praise be to God.
Praise be to the Chewy. I raised Chewy up. All right, next slide. So first, we are starting with mid lane. We got 3 champions on here. After long discussion with Twitch chat, me, Tyler, and just looking at win rates, reflecting a little bit, for mid lane, we have 3 champions. Kassadin, who just newly got buffed. His win rate's 55% right now. Echo, 53% win rate, high pick rate. LeBlanc, 50% win rate, but extremely, extraordinarily good in the early game to the point where you can take over an entire game. All 3 of these champions individually have different strengths that make them shine at a level that makes it incredibly difficult to play against. Echo, very diverse, has a lot of the same problems that old Talon had that they tried to fix, where you can just double Q the wave as Echo and then roam. Ganking him is very difficult because of the W, the E, the R. Kassadin, so versatile, so lane dominant. LeBlanc, one of the best early games in the entire game from the mid lane. All 3 of these champions are very difficult to play against, very effective at their jobs and what they do to accomplish to win the game, and they basically dictate and control the mid lane right now. Any additions to that, Tyler?
Yeah, Kassadin was climbing even last patch before the buff, so he might have made it into God tier even last patch if it had been made. Something that we mentioned off stream or on stream, but not on the video so far, is that the electrocute changes last patch make it to where mid laners can proc electrocute more frequently, which doesn't mean that electrocute was a nerf for them specifically. So Kassadin's someone that can proc electrocute. Same. Everybody on this list right here, the mid lane, can proc electrocute on cooldown basically. So
Right.
that's another reason why they're good.
Well, Echo and LeBlanc more frequently than Kassadin, but
Yeah.
Echo and LeBlanc definitely got better with the electrocute changes because their trade patterns were more frequent than electrocute cooldown. So that electrocute has a lower cooldown. Every time they trade, electrocute's basically up. So electrocute was a nerf to the junglers primarily, but a buff to a lot of mid lane mages that combo quickly and effectively. And I think that's why they're also just so much more effective on this patch going forward. Is just other champions don't use electrocute as well as at least 2 out of 3 of these, and Kassadin still has the option to take either Comet, Fleet Footwork, Grasp of Undying, or electrocute. Very versatile champion, and his scaling is just disgusting. All right, let's go to the next one. So for top lane, we got 3 champions. We have Jax, we have Garen, and Fiora. Now, the Garen nerfs were so small that he essentially is about the exact same he was last patch, being a champion that is still incredibly good even in high elo because of how easy lane dominant he is. And the nerfs they gave to him was on rank 2 Decisive Strike, it was -5 damage, and by rank 5, it was 20 damage total. So there's almost no difference between Garen on last patch versus this patch. His win rate's still incredibly high. His pick rate's still incredibly high. Fiora got buffed this patch. Her E ability is substantially better in the early game. And she's always been a very late game dominant champion. So whenever her early game spikes where she gets stronger, it's so much harder to play against her because she turns into this dueling god when she can take over games completely. And Jax is also very similar to the playstyle of Fiora, except he's got a better early game than Fiora and and a lot more matchups. So Jax is still a very, very dominant pick. You see people completely take over games, but he also can just win lane and just stomp people, which is something that Fiora still struggles to do in a lot of matchups, but Jax can do it easier, and Garen can probably do it easiest out of all 3 because of his early game. But all 3 of these champions have different strengths, but are also just very effective to play, and you do not like to play against, especially if they're played effectively. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and we mentioned that so Fiora's weakest time is the early game, obviously. So with all the damage being removed from the game in 8.16 and as well as 8.17, specifically with lethality and Stormrazor, um, yeah, she can make it through the early game more frequently. So I think that that's a big reason why she came back to prominence. And as well as like Garen, if they don't kill Garen, he can just walk away and heal it up. So with damage being taken out of the game, Garen got better in 8.16. So I know he got nerfed this patch. It was not a nerf. So that's all I had to say.
All right, so we got bottom lane. So we have more champions in bottom lane because bottom lane is actually the god tier champions in bot lane like actually don't have that high win rates, but compared to the other champions that people still try to play like Vayne and Tristana who are on the tiers list, these champions are substantially more dominant to the point where we added an extra because the last couple, we had 3, but we decided to do 4 for this. MF has the highest win rate of the ADC role with one of the highest pick rates. Kai'Sa actually has a 32% pick rate, so actually the highest pick rate in the entire game for ADC is Kai'Sa with a decent win rate, a variety of play styles, and she's basically like everything Vayne has ever wanted to be except just better and more of a team pick. Jhin, a 25% pick rate. I believe the win rate is still above 50%. Incredibly good still with Stormrazor and Hail of Blades, and just like this, just really high mobility, effective build for winning lane, really good in team fights, has an insanely good late game, especially with Infernal Dragons. Lucian, one of the best early game laners. Everybody loves playing Lucian. He's so much fun. He's so effective at kiting and using his mobility to win lane. In team fights, you can use his ultimate to like snipe kills. There's just a lot of different variety between these 4 picks that create enough opportunities for them to generally win lane, win team fights, and just be an effective like team pick. All right, that's all I got to say about bot lane. You got anything to add?
I mean, related to the tier list, no, but it would have been nice if Kai'Sa was just like instead of being released as Kai'Sa, it was just Vayne. They just removed
They
old
just
Vayne.
removed Vayne and it was
Yeah,
Kai'Sa. Yeah.
it's just goodbye Vayne. But yeah.
All right,
All right.
support. We got 3 on here. Pyke looks a little weird right here, but this is peak performance of Pyke right now. If you don't like it, too bad.
Come on,
These
bruh.
these picks are all tanky. You got Braum, you got Pyke, you got Alistar. They're versatile in their playstyle. They're good in lane. They're good in team fights. These champions are frustrating to play against. It's frustrating to play against Braum. He's an effective counter pick. Look at those muscles. I mean, he carries a lot of weight. He carries his team on his back. Even though I don't get honored when I play Braum, I win most of the time. Very effective in lane. He's one of those picks where you're just sitting back, and then the moment you hit your Q and you go forward, it's a kill. But you're sitting there, and it's hard to kill him. He's got mobility with the W. He's got the ability to block skill shots. He's just what you want in a support. He's that big man that can carry you. He can hold you during the hard times. And Alistar, maybe a more aggressive Braum, but still has really, really good peel. Truly one of the hardest tank supports to kill in the whole game because of how his ultimate works with health and itemization and just the percentage reduction. There's not as much true damage going around as before, but there's still true damage. But he still makes it on the god tier list because of his versatility, his roams, lane dominance, and just how easy he is to play. And Pyke, of course, is a hard counter to Alistar and a lot of other support picks. But Pyke just is a tremendously strong pick with his ability to duplicate gold on kills, with his ability to roam, with his ability to dominate lane. How difficult it is to kill a Pyke in a gank. He's the hardest out of all 3 to kill probably if you use his abilities effectively. He can actually get pentakills as a support, so he feels good. And he feels bad to play against when he's played effectively because of how versatile he is to play.
All right, a couple notes. Number 1, the Duskblade nerf was not a nerf to Pyke. You should not have been taking that item in the first place. We had a video about that before. Second note was that if you wanted to hear more about why it's only tanks on this list, basically, there's going to be a video coming soon about support. Probably later today filmed. So that's all I had to say about that.
All right, so let's move on to the jungle list. So this may not be Nunu in his true state, but this is what I remember Nunu being. We got 3 champions on here: Graves, Evelynn, and Nunu. And the ones that are new to this list is the Nunu. Evelynn and Graves were on the last list and have been considered God tier and OP on op.gg's tier list for I don't know how many patches, just for a long time. And their win rates, especially Evelynn, actually went up on this patch. Now, Nunu is the one that's controversial on here. You probably already know why Graves is OP, and Evelynn we've discussed in the past, like how just powerful and effective she is at being that AP jungler that basically can avoid detection with wards and burst in team fights. Nunu is everything you want in a utility team-based tank jungler. Now, the win rate is really bad for Nunu right now, but you look at what people are taking on him. Everybody's taking Predator. Everybody's going full AP. Full AP Predator Nunu is not good. It is not a good playstyle for Nunu. The most ideal playstyle is actually tank, with the Cinder Hulk, with the Knight's Vow type items like Spirit Visage, Frozen Heart. You basically just want to build him as a tank with some health, armor, magic resist, CDR, and just play around the team, play around objectives. Imagine old Nunu at his peak when he had high win rates. The reasons for it were his counter jungling, his effectiveness with objective control, and he really was highlighted in that, and he's still basically the same champion. His Q doesn't do quite as much true damage. I think it's off by like 200, but it's still more burst than any other champion can possibly do on an objective with Q and Smite during the early and mid game. And only in late game would you be potentially outsmited by a champion like Evelynn, who can use her charm on Baron and burst it with her ultimate and smite at the same time. But she's obviously God tier as well. So Nunu's objective control, counter jungling, combined with now that he can actually gank and counter gank in the early game with crowd control. He's got 2 forms of crowd control. They buffed his ultimate to give him a shield. And his base damage on his ultimate is so high that you really don't need to build damage on Nunu. As long as you hit the ultimate, you're going to kill people. So Nunu in his current state, I think, is the best team-based jungler in the entire game. He's not a selfish champion. You shouldn't go full AP. You shouldn't go Predator. You play him like a team pick. You play him with the team. You play him for the team. And you play around the team. And that's how you dominate with Nunu. And we will only see Nunu's win rate rise. And we will only see more of him in competitive play. And he's going to be a really nasty pick that people will want to ban because of how effective he is at controlling the early game and mid game for objectives and counter jungling.
Yep. So you could think of Nunu as the best tank, Eve as the best mage or
assassin
AP jungler.
Yeah.
Assassin, yeah. And you can think of Graves as the best AD jungler.
AD
that's
assassin.
a simplification.
AD assassin tank range carry jungler.
All right, that's all I got to say. I gotta answer this door before it. Be right back.
All right. So if you liked the video, guys, I really want you to leave a comment, like, share with a friend, and of course check out the other videos we have, like the tiers list, and the videos talking about the support role, and the videos upcoming about Nunu in particular, and just give us your feedback on my Twitch channel. Go to twitch.tv/Valkrin, follow that, watch me when I'm live, ask me direct questions, and participate in the community. Until next time, guys, it's been good. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.